This
is my van.
Yes, the Mercedes Sprinter Overland build that I never wanted. However, this DIY built van is me holding up my end of a bargain. With all the endless beginnings of projects that she's endured that I've yet to finish, I let her choose her dream build and I would bring it to life. Well, this is what she chose, and today, about to become badass. Let's go. Now, the Mercedes Sprinter started life as a cargo van. It even came with this thing. Well, we bought it a year ago and have slowly started to make it into this dream Overland Sprinter build. And it's looking good so far, but along with looking the part, it has to be fairly capable. So what we have, these guys from Dark Star Off-Road. Lighting, and a lot of it. Fifth wheel and tire. We're gonna put it on the back door. Ooh. Along with some good old Husky liners from Real Truck, because we're getting dirty. That's good and dirty. We've got a ton to get done today, and this thing's gonna look so mean by the end of this video, but stick around because I got a big surprise for you guys. There's a reason we are doing this now. This thing is about to make its biggest trip ever. And fun fact, this vehicle actually holds a Guinness World Record for the biggest pain in the ocole to clean out of any vehicle in the world. Now, a ton of work has already gone into getting this van, we call the Black Pearl, to this point. FVC roof rack and front bumper, OWL side steps and ladder, Nitto Tail Grappler G3 tires wrapped around Black Rhino wheels, and fully installed sound deadening on the interior as well as a second row seat. Oh, and I cut holes in the walls for windows. All right, chose a little bit of a bad spot to open all this stuff up, but I'm so stoked on these lights. So what we're gonna do with the van, across the top where the FVC roof rack is, we're gonna have 8 off-road lights going across the front. We're gonna add 2 additional lights into the FVC bumper and 2 more on the backside, all controlled with Real Truck's Go Rhino control panel. Each of these lights come in a kit for 2. All the wiring, 2 relays, and then a switch to run it all, but we're not running 2 lights. We're running 8. Which means we have 4 kits, which means we need to work them all together, work in conjunction together, but also not overpower the switch panel. So we're gonna have to do some learning today on how these electrical systems work and what size fuse and amperage and all that fun stuff goes along with adding a whole bunch of lights to any off-road rig. So the idea is actually to mount those right on that shield. All right, we got the boss out here for approval. Trying to figure out where exactly to mount these lights. Don't hold it vertical like your factor plug. I'm gonna mount it on here because I don't want your van any taller than it already is.
That was what I was worried about.
Yeah, this thing's banged up. Whatever we've hit in the last couple weeks, this thing's pretty scratched up here. You gotta figure out where on this plate we're gonna mount these lights. Here, I can put it here, I can put it in the middle. One thing I didn't think about working on this van was the fact that all the way up here. Ta-da. Okay, I'm gonna pull that plate down and do it down here.
Yeah. 2
lights, backpack, spare tire mount, Dirt Logic shock, sexy husband. But that's not a mod, started there. This thick piece of aluminum from the FVC roof rack is where the lights are going to live. We're gonna add some reinforcement behind it because these lights are not light, if you know what I mean. Since we had the boss's help to mark exactly how high up we wanted these lights to be mounted, I could then pull the plate down so I can measure and mark where each of these Go Rhino lights will mount up, so I can then drill the holes. Because these lights are fairly heavy and only get mounted up with 1 bolt each, we're using a scrap piece of steel to run across the back side of that plate to reinforce the whole system. It was covered in surface rust, we had to clean it off and paint it, but from here, we're good to go. We're gonna drill each of these blue dots. There's some lining on the back side, which will reinforce the lights. Bolt will go through the aluminum, through the steel, have a nut on the back, hold it in place, and look awesome. Got my cutting oil. All right, here is the wiring harness from Real Truck. Now we have 2 relays here, a power and ground source, and on the far end, a switch with 3 toggles. So you have on, off, and the daytime running lights. So we're simply just gonna take this and strategically, surgically cut it off. Whoops, got the wrong one. This plug goes to the back of each of these lights. So male, female, 3 wires running to it. But the problem is, I don't know what they mean. A black, a white, and a green. Now I'm assuming that this is gonna be our ground. I'm assuming this is gonna power the LEDs on these lights, and then this little green one, probably for the daytime running light. And I'm assuming that because the white wire is actually thicker than the green wire, but I need to find out. All right, we get all battery holder person. So I need a 12-volt power source just to test this. We have our light plugged in. So we're gonna ground this one and we're gonna apply power to the green and then the white and see what this light does. Ground there, go DRL first. Yep, DRL, on, off, on, off. Okay, this one should be the main. Oh, that's bright. Holy crap. Oh my, yeah, that's an off-road light. My goodness, that is bright. Oh, I love when I guess it and get it right. We've now got each and every one of these lights spaced evenly, bolted down, ready to be wired in. Just have to figure out how to do that. So we're back with another hardy board brainstorm. Oh, it's getting hot today already. It's already 91 degrees inside the shop. It's a wonderful day. Now we gotta figure out how in the world to power all these 8 lights. And I know a lot of you are sick of the spray paint on hardy board. Deal with it. I'm not an electrician or experienced in wiring. A couple off-road lights, we should be able to tackle those. We are gonna be controlling all of these lights from Real Truck's controller. Here it's gonna be in the cabin. We're gonna run power from the battery to this distribution box, which is controlled by the controller, and then run power to the lights from here. Each of these lights pulls, I think, 70 watts. I had no idea what that meant, so I had to figure out how this all works. So 70 watts, so we can use Ohm's law, divide that by 12 volts, 5.8 amps per light. This is too much to put all on one button on the controller. We're gonna run all of these off the 30 amp fuses, but we're gonna break it out into 2 separate runs. So we have one 30 amp fuse is gonna power the 4 on the inside. One 30 amp fuse is gonna run through to power the 4 on the outside. Now, if you have all 8 lights running at the same time, that's 46 amps total, well within the capacity of that controller and distribution block, I think, which we're gonna find out in a second. I need better ventilation in here. I'm tasting paint. So here we are, driver's side, pulled out the front seat. This is where a lot of the electrical shenanigans live on these Sprinter vans. Kind of a pain in the butt, but also kind of nice. Battery is here. So what we're gonna do is mount our control panel. This is gonna be the distribution block that distributes power all the way up to the lights and everything else that we're gonna put in here. We're gonna mount this right there. We have power running from battery up underneath the seat base. We have all the power running to here, the 60 amp breaker. 60 amp breaker running to this panel. Now I have this here and we're gonna mount it to the side here. That way, if this does kick the breaker, I can actually slide my hand up underneath the base of the seat and actually flip this to get it re-engaged. So we now need to run power from here up the side to the roof, which involves drilling a hole in the roof. So we went online and purchased some of these waterproof adjustable NPT cable gland things. This is the wire we're gonna use, 10 gauge wire, runs through. We're just testing it, trying to figure out how it works on this piece of cardboard. Goes through that gland and then you screw this down and it presses the rubber on the inside and seals up the wire. That is now, allegedly, waterproof. So this is gone, we removed this. I want these fittings, these waterproof fittings, to actually be about there. So when that sits down, it'll actually be up underneath. That cross member, so it comes down. Here goes nothing. There we go. Yeah, let's go. I need you to hold it down flush against it and then once I start it, you can use that just to keep it from turning. Nice and warm up there? Mm-hmm. You like those holes in your roof?
Yep. I like that they're above the driver's seat.
Yeah, so if it leaks, you know.
You got it.
Hey girls, yeah, the good ones just can't get me high.
All right, a new day. This is taking forever. We've decided to change up the plan on the wiring. So as you see here, we've modified it because initially we were planning on using as much as the, let's say factory wiring, the wiring it came with as possible, but it's so bulky, it just got ridiculous. So we've changed up that wiring plan and we can clean this up real nice, tuck it up inconceivably, but I also want to confirm that these are all working before we lift this super heavy thing now 10 feet in the air and bolt it down. So 12 volts from the battery to the lights. We're going to test the DRLs and test the lights just to make sure everything's wired in correctly. Don't know how much you guys saw, but you're going to have to wait till it's up on top of the van because those lights are very bright. And now that we've confirmed everything is working as planned, it's time to manhandle this thing to the top of the van and try to install it without damaging anything. Also happy to confirm no additional dents or scratches were added. Maybe just one.
That sounds good, but we gotta go with it.
It's gotta be like 110 degrees right here. This is ridiculous. I gotta do something about the insulation on the ceiling. Got 2 bolts, 2 nuts. Hold it in place. I am sweating like crazy. Oh my goodness. Does it look cool? I hope it does, because I'm not pulling this back down. Sweating like crazy. How's it look? Oh, that looks cool. Are you kidding me right now? This thing looks incredible with those on top. Now, the roof rack has always been convenient. It's nice to have, but it's always looked funny because of that windshield thing that goes up and over. It kind of looked like a flat top hairstyle, but now, oh, that looks proper. Now we want to test these out, and I'm very excited to see what they look like. But the only problem is, before I can hook up power, I have to put the seat back and plug in the airbag sensors on the seats, or else the van completely freaks out. And we are going a little bit crazy with the lights, but since we're up here and we're hooking everything up, might as well add some additional Go Rhino lighting. Now, we have 2 different styles of these lights. Now we have these that have an amber accent on the inside in addition to the LEDs, and we have a set without the amber accent. These, we gotta figure out where we would like to install them on the front. After looking at this thing for a while, we decided to mount them right in the grille. I think the amber accents will make for a cool addition onto the front of the van, as well as the light output just being insane. Oh my goodness, we're ready for our first test. Wiring everything up is a beating, but I think I did a good job. I'm getting better at wiring, being completely transparent. I'm OCA about some things. Wiring, I have trouble keeping it clean. The grill lights and the Baja Designs fog lamps actually will turn on together. That way there's not like a million switches. We've also pre-run the 2 wires that are gonna power the lights that are going in the rear. We will be installing here in a little bit, but I'm dying to make sure that these things work. But before we can do that, we gotta put this thinking thing back in. That way we can plug in the airbag sensor. I need to figure out how to put an accessory battery in here. And finally, after hours and hours of work getting these lights installed and wired and customized and looking good, it was time to finally see if they actually work. Here we go. So grill lights and Baja Designs should turn on together. It's got a 40 amp relay, which is more than enough to power all 4 lights. What I'm really concerned about is those. Those took forever. 2, 1. Yes! Oh my goodness, those are bright. So remember, we wired the 4 lights in separately, so this button should turn on something. 3, 2, 1. Ooh! 4 on the outside, all together. DRLs should turn on in 3, 2, 1. Oh, yeah. Yeah! That looks sick. Those look amazing. So those aren't on, just that DRL right in the middle. DRL's off, on, and on. Oh, that's a collapsed sun. Oh. That's kind of bright. Oh my gosh. And the headlamps aren't even on. Yes. Yes. Yes!
What?
I had 6. Well, at least she left me the roasted garlic chicken. Big thank you to Factor for sponsoring today's video. This right here is why I love Factor. I am terrible at taking a break and eating lunch. I'll typically grab 2 or 3 bags of chips and just keep on trucking till dinner. Because living a busy lifestyle like ours, it's tough sometimes to focus on eating clean. But with Factor, I don't have to worry about cooking or grabbing junk food. It gives me the flexibility to stay active without giving in to a cheat meal.
Oh, Factor, yeah, I love Factor.
And Factor just doubled their menu to over 80 rotating weekly meals. More variety, more protein, and even more seafood. And if you don't like something, you can swap proteins at no extra cost. And these juices are amazing. In just 2 minutes, I've got a restaurant quality meal that fuels me and helps me put in that physical work that I love to do. I use this, and you guys should too. All right, guys, head over to factor75.com or use the link below and use code LoneStarFB50 for 50% off plus breakfast for an entire year. That's LoneStarFB50 at factor75.com for 50% off plus free breakfast for a year. Get it while you can. Oh, no, Maui, this is mine, not yours. Mine. All right, I'm gonna finish up my Factor here, but we'll see you guys back at the newly collapsed sun that we call the Sprinter van, the Black Pearl. Now that we know everything works and looks amazing, we're gonna clean all this up, get all the wires cleaned up, looking nice, zip tied up out of the way, and start reinstalling some of these floor panels. We have 2 wires actually run out of this that are just hanging off the backside because I think my game plan is to actually put 2 additional LEDs there at the top shining back and down. That way when we're backing up like long stretches of road or driveway without any lights, we can flip that on and actually see out the back. So here's kind of a fun part. We get to choose what the buttons are gonna be on here. So 1 and 2 are the lights on top. 3, 4, nothing currently. Number 5 is all the DRLs. Number 6 are the backlights. So that's gonna be it for now. With all the switches installed and the wiring cleaned up, we had to get a visual approval from the boss. I actually had to help her out at a middle school cross-country meet anyway. She liked it.
Oh, that's cool. I love it.
And ended up kicking me out of the driver's seat so she could drive it. And yeah, it's bright. Oh, I need to put a chain hoist on that. Those things are pretty bright.
I know.
Funny when you lit them up.
I was like, watch this.
All right, still got a ton to do, guys. Stick around. We got several more fairly large boxes that are gonna be adding some additional character to this thing. A full-size 5th tire for this thing, which is gonna serve as our spare tire. Now, I don't believe this actually fits up underneath where that stock tire was, so we are gonna put it on the back of the Sprinter. 1, because it looks cool, but 2, it'd be nice to have a spare tire. Ooh, sweet. Oh, that's nice. Ooh, that's a lot of packing material. Well, here we are. I didn't expect this to be so lightweight, which is awesome because I don't want a bunch of weight hanging on this door because we still have to open and close those doors. That spare tire's heavy, so that's gonna be something to think about, have to deal with. But this is also way lighter than I thought it was going to be. That is super nice. The exterior coating is super nice. Let's go, we're on a high with this build, guys. The folks over at Dark Star Off-Road, located out in Salt Lake City, Utah, were awesome enough to send out these accessories for the rear of the van. They're a premium camper van accessory company that specializes in upgrades for the Sprinter, ProMaster, and Transit vans. But as you know, with every high comes a low. We can't win them all. Man, a little bit disappointed, guys. Actually, a lot of bit disappointed. I was so stoked to get these things installed and on the back of the van, and it was going too smoothly. Everything went too smoothly with the front of the van, so now the back's gonna throw me a bunch of audibles, and these, unfortunately, are not gonna be compatible with my van. So this van has, and a lot of you that do Sprinter vans probably already know this, 270-degree door hinges. So my back doors actually open up all the way against the van, and I love that fact. Accessories for the rear of the van, regardless of the brand, it looks like require 180-degree door hinges, because the way that these things fold out, these are not compatible to mount up on that structure that it needs to hold all the weight that it needs to hold. And unfortunately, both our backpack carrier as well as our spare tire mount require the 180-degree hinges. Going too smooth, guys. This is the reality of doing this stuff and doing a lot of the stuff that I do for the first time. I always try to tackle something new on this channel. That way I can go out, stretch myself, and learn the process. This is just part of the learning experience. We're gonna have to hold on to these until I figure out a better solution. We may be swapping out these 270s for 180 hinges in the future. But regardless of all the stuff that we're hitting speed bumps on, there's one thing that's gonna enable speed bumps, if that makes any sense. Dirt Logic coilover shocks. These are also from Dark Star Off-Road. Had a few conversations with them for them to set me up on the right spring rates and the preload and all that fun stuff. When I load up weight in this thing like I do regularly, these coilovers are gonna handle it perfectly. Ah, you stay. Don't you dare. These are gonna replace these hilarious factory shocks. And let's hope this one doesn't throw us any audibles.
Oh yeah, that's more my color.
These Dirt Logic shocks are impressive. In addition to having adjustability, they also come with an upgraded lower and upper mounting bracket, which fixes a pretty bad weak spot on these Sprinters. Passenger side, wheel and tire off. These shocks are enormous compared to the factory ones. And this kit not only includes just the shock that's replacing that little baby one there, but it also includes an anti-shear bracket, which this top mount gets bolted into. New shocks going in. Before climbing up underneath a suspended vehicle, especially when I'm running solo here, I'll always throw in a secondary worst case scenario measure. Just for some reason, these fail, those will catch it. The OEM shocks come out super easy. Just 2 bolts and they lift right out. Unfortunately, the new Dirt Logic shocks don't go in as easy, but it's a good thing. We place and mark where we're gonna drill into the frame to mount the upper anti-shear bracket. Once those are drilled, spray in a little bit of bed liner just to keep it from rusting. And then do the same thing on the other side. We then remove the mounts for the sway bar as well as a few brackets for these brake lines to slide in our new lower bracket. This thing wraps up and around the back of the axle, is absolutely solid. 175 foot-pounds. So we gotta torque that top bolt too. Is that 175? Yep, 175. Here we go. With everything buttoned up on the passenger side, it's time to rinse and repeat now on the driver's side. Second time's always easier, right? And since we couldn't get the rear spare tire mount done today, I tried to force it into the stock location. Didn't work. A quarter inch is all you need to get that thing in there. Gosh dang it. This thing's looking serious now, especially when you take a little peek underneath the wheel well on the rear side and see that old big boy down there. That is Whoop. Epic. Now I'm assuming I'm gonna need some coilovers from the front as well. And if you have any recommendations, drop them in the comments below. Would love to match the rears with the fronts, but we are home stretch. Last component we're gonna add before we go and figure out what we're doing about these hinges and the backpack and the spare tire mount and the spare tire that's sitting in the back now because it didn't fit up underneath. It's like a 1/4 inch short. 2 lights on the back, on the top, hooked to a toggle where I can turn it on where we're backing up or need light out the back coming from the top. And these go-around lights are gonna do just that. Same brand and layout as the front, just no amber LEDs built in. That's where we're gonna mount our lights. Back of that, we're going through the roof. Those coilovers are awesome. Oh, I want some at the front. Warm. All right, we got our 2 holes drilled. A little bit of a rust prevention. That looks good. While that's drying up, we're gonna drill a hole in our, well, we're gonna mount the light actually. Now, with our 2 go-round lights mounted to this cross member of our roof rack, it's time to put it back up. Now we did cut up the wires because we're not using the stock harness it comes with. We have 2 wires going into the van from the outside. It's time to mount it back up and try it out for the first time. All right, lights are wired in and we're gonna toss the ignition on and make sure they work before we bolt everything back down. All right, backup lights in 3, 2, 1. Yes! Let's go! Holy moly, those are bright. All right, just gotta aim these bad boys once they're up. That's gonna be awesome. Let's go! Shing! They look so good. I was worried this was gonna look like that one dude in the old cartoon. Yeah, that guy. Okay, it looks a little bit like him. And I almost forgot, we have one last thing hiding over here behind the ZL1. We run Husky liners in all of our vehicles. I'm gonna clean all this stuff up. I don't know how many wires and splices and... This is just some of the harnesses we didn't use. I'm gonna save them though, because these relays, they're really good relays. They're 40 amp relays. We still got our power ground, switch, everything. So we can use this for other stuff later on. Just for this project, no need, because we already have our Go Rhino distribution panel, switch panel, all the Go Rhino lighting, front and back. Everything's linked in the description below if you guys want to check out any of these parts. Thank you, Real Truck, for being awesome on this, as well as Dark Star Off-Road. Those coilovers, I'm excited for the first drive here in a second. So, first drive.
Yeah. You must be blinded by the lights. We came to shine here. Watch it look daytime in the night.
All right, you want to see the lights? Yeah. Hit them. Ooh. Pretty bright, huh? All right. Sorry, we're just finishing up soccer practice. Hit that 4th one. There you go.
Oh, nice. Oh, backlights. That'll be good.
Man, they're bright. What'd you think?
Good.
Do a good job?
Yeah.
Nice shoes. Don't drag your feet on concrete, please. All right, so here we are in the cockpit, and then we have our switch panel here. Sorry. Right now, 4 of our 8 options are taken up. We have half of the roof, other half of the roof. Ooh, that's bright. We have our daytime running lamps, and then the newly installed today the reverse lights. But I also wired in the grill lights to the fog lamps that were already installed here because I put a hole in the dash already. You know, I'll be honest, I didn't think the coilovers would do a lot. This is a cargo van, so throwing coilovers in the rear, it's nice to have. This thing drives night and day to what it did previously. When it comes to vehicles that you sit relatively high up from the road, any bump is exaggerated from the seat you're sitting in. You move an inch on the bottom, you're moving like 3 feet on top. This thing rides so good now. I really need to get a set for the front. Beast mode. This thing looks incredible. I'm super stoked on this. Now, I mentioned before earlier in the video that there's something coming up here in a few weeks that's probably one of the biggest monumental moments of my career on the camera. And for that, we are traveling all the way to Southern California because this guy has got to tow a trailer with a vehicle on it that's going to be going wide open in the craziest event that I have ever been a part of in collaboration with Nitto Tire. And on that bombshell, it's time to end, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, Ohana will be back with the Mobetta Garage and the Dream Shop build. Aloha.